Hey there people of the internet, my name is Sivana and welcome to my studio. Before we get started, be sure to like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and ring the bell to be notified about all my new videos. And if you would like to support me, I do have some new shirts up in my Etsy shop. If you would like to check them out, the link is in the description. I truly appreciate all of your support. For this week's video, I thought I'd start a little series where I draw or color characters and monsters from my horror comic called Nightmare Game. I talked about it briefly in my Down the Rabbit Hole video, but I thought it would be fun to go more in-depth by talking about my various nightmares that inspired the story. So let's just get into it. This first installment of the series is the protagonist, Vine, who I already drew almost a year ago now, so I'm just going to be coloring her and doing a cool background. So if you remember from the Down the Rabbit Hole video, Vine is a representation of me at about 15 or 16, which is when I had some of my worst nightmares. So in the comic, she will be the one having these nightmares and eventually ends up in her nightmares. Like, there's this whole world based on the monsters and places of her bad dreams, and she is reasonably freaked out and doesn't know what to do and doesn't know what's going on as she's traversing this place. I chose the name Vine because her sister's name is Ivy, and I thought of her sister's name first, and Ivy and Vine just sound like really cool sibling names. Oh yeah, she has a sister, who is loosely based on my sister. Vine's whole mission in the nightmare world, other than to get out and not die, is to find and save her older sister. The main inspiration for making this story based on my nightmares was my first nightmare that I had when I was like 4 years old. I remember it very clearly because I had it multiple times throughout my childhood, which is really weird, and it goes like this. My older sister and I were home alone and jumping on the couch, having a great time, laughing, and just being silly kids. We eventually stopped because we got hungry, but my sister went to look out the window to see if our parents were back yet. I didn't see what she saw, but she was horrified and dragged me to the bathroom at the end of the hall. I asked her what was going on, but she wouldn't answer me. She just told me to stay in the bathroom and not to come out no matter what. And then she left. She was only gone for a little while before I heard loud banging and thuds of things crashing into walls. I heard snarls and my sister screaming, but I was too scared to move. I just covered my face until the noise stopped and the house was silent again. I then decided to go see what happened and left the bathroom to find the house completely trashed. Lamps broken, pictures off the walls, and massive claw marks everywhere. I called out for my sister and noticed the front door was wide open. Outside was a pitch black night, and I walked cautiously onto the lawn. There was nothing but trees around the house, no neighborhood or anything. As I looked around confused and walked aimlessly, I heard low growling behind me. I turned to see 3 snarling wolves ready to attack. One of them was splattered with blood and smaller. The other 2 had blood dripping from their fangs, and I just somehow knew that these were my parents and sister. I immediately turned and ran. There was suddenly a road at the base of the hill with a red truck under the streetlight. I ran up to the driver's side of the truck and asked the man inside for help, but when he turned to me, he didn't have a face. It was like carved out, all bloody and empty. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. Suddenly, a black circle appeared underneath us and I fell in, but the truck stayed. And then I woke up, feeling like I fell back into bed, as if I was actually in that place. So yeah, that was a lot. Anyway, I bet you're wondering why Vine is in a creepy playground. Well, let me tell you about another nightmare I've had many times. I was on some kind of family trip, and we stopped at a rest stop that had a big building with bathrooms and snacks and a sitting area. So that's where the adults went, while me, my sister, and my friend all went to hang out on the little playground with the jungle gym. But then they all disappeared, and not even in the blink of an eye. I was just suddenly alone. It was so dark, and I couldn't see much other than the jungle gym and the faint lights of the building. I didn't even notice I was alone until I wasn't. There was a man on the jungle gym with me. He had dark hair and red eyes. He talked to me, but I don't remember what he said. I soon felt very uncomfortable, learning that there was no one else there with me. It was just me and this stranger. I tried to escape him and climb around the jungle gym to any exit, but he was always there, blocking me. Like he was duplicating himself, and then there were suddenly tons of him, all around the playground, all around me. I don't know if he tried to grab me, but I was too scared and just ran. I somehow dipped out of the jungle gym and ran straight into the building. He chased me inside, and I was able to get out of his sight for a moment and looked for a place to hide. But the rest stop had changed. For some reason it was now some kind of arsenal or training area with guns and bows and arrows. There were other kids there too, some I didn't know, all hiding and telling me to be quiet. I didn't know where to go and I ended up climbing into some vents above a crossbow display. The man came in, bursting through the doors and just began looking everywhere. He found one of the other kids but then discarded them, allowing them to run away. One kid tried to pull a crossbow on him, but it was knocked away and the kid was hit. I was still up in the vents watching everything. I didn't want to be hiding anymore, but I couldn't move. He eventually left the room and I came out of the vents, finding another small girl hiding behind the display. I grabbed a crossbow or maybe a sword or something, literally anything I could find. I felt I had to protect her and tried to sneak away through the door. We almost made it, but then the man came back in, having his sights on me. I told the girl to run, and she did, and I set up to fire at him. Maybe I had a gun now. I'm not really sure, it's hard to remember. But I do remember keeping him at bay with my threatening weapon. He tried to talk to me and was smiling the whole time. I saw my sister hiding behind a box or something, and looking more terrified than I was. I didn't want him to find her, so I ran again, having him follow me out. I ran down several halls, tried to weave around so he couldn't follow too close, and came outside again to the jungle gym. I climbed it again, and the scene replayed, of him trying to talk to me, not letting me leave, of hiding in the building and in the vents, and everything. There were slight changes, but it just repeated like this over and over, and I don't know how it ever ended. And that is why I decided to draw a vine in a playground setting, because it's the catalyst for the rest of the Nightmare comic. I hope you enjoyed this little peek into my terror-filled dreams. You're welcome. And also thank you for watching. More spooky tales of my nightmares to come as I draw and color more characters and monsters. If you like this style of video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and let me know what you think in the comments below. Also, if you would like to support me, again, I do have some new shirts up in my Etsy shop, the link is in the description, and if you would like prints of these Nightmare game characters, let me know and I'll happily have those up in the shop as well. Thanks again, and take care. I'll see you in the next one.